everyone, and welcome back to my Miraculous Ladybug fanfiction recordings. I am doing a new one-shot. It's called Satisfied. So this was actually an idea that I got off my survey. It says, I really want a Chloe fanfic. I personally think Chloe has some great potential as a hero and a person, and I think she deserves her own fanfic. So I took that idea and added it to my spin-off of Satisfied from Broadway's Hamilton. I am very excited about this, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. Let's hit it. Chloe Bourgeois. A toast to the groom. Chloe held up her wine glass. To the groom. Her call echoed around the ballroom. To the bride. To the bride. Up at the head of the table, the bride and groom raised their glasses. From your best friend, who is always by your side. Chloe sighed, trying to feel happy. To your union, she smiled softly. The room cheered. And the hope that you provide. Alia and Nina smiled from the seat next to her. May you always... She paused and looked the groom in the eye. Be satisfied. His eyes widened, and Chloe was shot through a wall of flashbacks. Suddenly she was back at the annual winter gala. 1 year ago, the night everything went wrong. She wasn't in her body, she saw her past self. It was like she was a spectator in her own life. She couldn't move, all she could do was watch. Chloe and Adrian Agreste had been dating for some time now. Despite that, every boy there seemed to want to dance with her. Hawkmoth had been defeated, and Paris was at peace. Ladybug and Cat Noir had vanished and hadn't been seen in months. No one knew who was ever behind the masks. Chloe glanced around the school courtyard, taking in the twinkling lights and the girls in their dresses. The whole class was here, except for Marinette, Alia, Nino, and Luca. They were in New York, going to college there. Chloe was happy. She missed her friends, of course, but she had Adrian and the rest of their class. She and the class had met up some time ago, and believe it or not, she and Marinette were the closest friends. Well, besides Alia. Adrian hadn't been the same since their friends had left. Chloe loved him with all her heart, and she hated seeing him so down. Her phone buzzed. It was Marinette. She picked up. Alia and Marinette popped up on screen, faces squished together. Hey, Chloe! Marinette squealed. Marinette, how are you? How's New York? Chloe grinned. New York is great, but how are you? How's Paris? How's Adrian? Alia grinned. Chloe didn't think Marinette had fully gotten over her high school crush, but she had seemed pretty okay with Chloe dating him. I'm fine. It's actually the winter gala. Want to see the courtyard? Of course, girl. Flip the camera, Alia demanded. Nina said something in the background, and Alia stuck her tongue out, making Marinette giggle. Chloe flipped the camera. Whoa! Both girls oohed. Adrian pushed his way out of the crowd. Oh. Adrian! Both girls on the camera chimed. Marinette, Alia! Adrian held the camera up. Hi, Adrian. Great to see you. Adrian, give me my phone back, Chloe protested. She took her phone back and held her face close. Where are you? Give you 2 guesses, Maya giggled. New York. Nope. Paris? Turn around. Chloe whipped around. Marinette, Alia, Nino, and Luca stood at the entrance to the courtyard. Marinette! Alia! Chloe shrieked, running across the courtyard and flinging herself into the embrace of her best friends. How are you here? What are you doing? We were actually on our way back to the bakery, but then you said you were here, so we did a U-turn and headed here instead. Marinette grinned. I love your dress. Chloe flushed. Thanks. She had gotten into sewing when Marinette left, and the dress was her first product. Come see everyone. She grabbed Marinette's arm and pulled her into the crowd. Marinette, Alia, Nino! Cries from their classmates echoed around the courtyard. The 4 newcomers were enveloped in hugs. Chloe giggled, glancing around. Marinette tugged on her arm. Where's Adrian? Isn't he here? Chloe laughed. She wasn't over him. He's over here. I'll go get him. She hurried over to her boyfriend. Adrian, come on. She grabbed his arm. Adrian smirked. Where are you taking me? Chloe smiled. You'll never guess who's here. She led him over to the girl in the corner, blushing furiously. His eyes widened. Marinette. Marinette smiled softly. Hey, kitty. Adrian crushed her in a hug. It's been so long. I've missed you so much, Adrian murmured. I know, Chaton, I know. Chloe watched the exchange with a puzzled expression. Am I missing something here? The two pulled apart, completely ignoring her. You look so different. What have you been up to in here in Paris? Marinette asked. Oh, the routine. Strolling around Paris, run a fashion company, dating Chloe. How about you? Adrian said nonchalantly. You know, college, getting a degree in fashion, messing around. New York is so much fun. You should come by and visit. Of course, my lady. Adrian smirked. This feels so weird. It's like we started over. Marinette giggled. Adrian grinned. Well then, it's nice to meet you, mademoiselle. I am Adrian Agreste, and you are? Marinette chuckled. Marinette Dupin-Chang. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Adrian bowed low, kissing her hand. Enchanted. Marinette laughed and Adrian joined her. Chloe was very confused. She had never seen Adrian act so ridiculously before, and she'd never seen Marinette so confident. It reminded her of... It hit her. Ladybug and Cat Noir were standing in front of her. Too shocked to say anything, she watched her boyfriend embrace Marinette again. He looked up and met her eyes. He knew that she knew, and he trusted her with their secret. Well, it's almost like we'll need a whole reunion. Marinette glanced at Chloe. She got the message. Chloe plastered a fake smile on her face. Oh, of course. She turned away. The worst decision of her life. I'll leave you to it. Oh, why had she been such an idiot? Chloe's memory flashed, and she was in her suite of the Grand Paris Hotel, still outside of her body. Marinette, Alia, and Nino were staying with her in the Grand Paris until it was time for them to go back to New York. Things had been weird between Chloe and her boyfriend ever since the gala. He was spending a lot of time with Marinette, and he seemed more distracted. Chloe was seated on her bed, plaiting Marinette's hair. Her hair had grown long since high school and was now down to her waist. Alia was sprawled on her stomach across the lower half of the bed, scrolling her phone. So when are you planning to go back to New York? Chloe asked, sticking a pin in her mouth. Next week, Alia answered. Oh, that soon? I missed you guys so much and you're leaving again, Chloe whined. Marinette reached up and took Chloe's hand. It's not for that long, Chloe. Just another semester before summer break. Chloe tied off the braid of the hair tie. I know, but I'll still miss you, she sighed. Alia's phone buzzed. Oh, Nino's ready. We're going out to get entrees like ice cream like high school. See you two later. She hopped off the bed and out the door. Chloe curled in front of Marinette. Hey, Mary? Huh? Can we talk? Marinette blinked. Sure, I guess. Have you ever wondered who Ladybug was? Chloe sighed. Marinette's eyes widened. No? Why? Chloe took her friend's hands. Come on, Marinette. Don't deny it. Marinette smiled. You have no idea how long I've wanted to tell someone. Even Alia doesn't know. How'd you figure it out? The gala. You and Adrian were Ladybug and Cat Noir, weren't you? Marinette smiled wistfully out the window. Yeah. She then realized what she had said. Oh, I'm so sorry. No, he's your boyfriend. Chloe smiled sadly. It's okay, Marinette. He loves you. I know he does. Just then, Marinette's phone buzzed. She picked it up. Oh, it's Adrian. She answered the call. Hello? Oh, hi, Adrian. How are you? She hopped off the bed and into the parlor. Chloe could hear them giggling and laughing. That night, she cried herself to sleep. The scene went dark and Chloe felt the sorrow stab through her again. It was as if she was reliving her whole life. Her memory flashed again as she was with Adrian. They were sitting in her bedroom, Adrian watching Marinette sew. Chloe was saying something to him. Adrian, it's okay. I know you two have a special connection, and I'm okay with that. He sighed. Chloe, you're my oldest friend. I would hate to hurt you. Chloe took her hands. It's okay, Adrian. I know you don't love me. Not like you love her. She deserves you. Her eyes welled. Adrian wrapped his arms around her. I'm so sorry, Chloe. It's okay. It's over. Across the room, Marinette spilled her pins everywhere. Go. Help her. I'll be fine. Chloe smiled weakly. Adrian practically ran across the room. Chloe shut the door behind him and slumped against it. She began to cry, huge, soulful sobs, as the man she loved became someone else's. The scene went dark. Tears rolled down Chloe's face. She hugged herself, wallowing in self-pity. What was next? Oh. Yeah. She remembered everything from that day on. Adrian began leaving love letters for Marinette, and she wrote them back. They would kiss and she looked so happy. Chloe noted all of this and chose not to say anything. She would choose Marinette's joy over hers. It made her happy to see them so happy. She tried to date, but she just couldn't find the right person. She knew Marinette like she knew herself. If she told Marinette she still loved Adrian, it would crush her. Chloe sighed. Sweet Marinette, you would never find anyone as trusting or as kind. That's why Adrian deserved her. No matter how much Chloe wanted Adrian, Marinette deserved the life he could give her. It would benefit her fashion business. She would be able to help her parents' bakery. She would love Adrian and have that same love given back to her. But still, Chloe enjoyed romanticizing what would have happened if Marinette had never fallen for him, if she hadn't left them to fall in love with her party. What might have been if she hadn't been so kind, if she had been selfish and kept Adrian to herself. But then neither of them would be happy. Marinette would be crushed. Adrian would never love her like he loved Marinette. Eventually, Marinette went back to New York and Adrian had gone with her. They were gone for a good 2 years. They came to visit, but always went back. When they came back once and for all, Marinette had gotten her degree, and they were engaged. The most soul-crushing thing was that the second Chloe met them at the airport, Marinette had requested she be the maid of honor. And there was no way Chloe could refuse. She was slammed with memory after memory, till her head hurt and her heart wanted to split. Tears surged down her face. Chloe gasped and clutched her head, falling to her knees, drowning in sorrow. Suddenly, it stilled. She opened her eyes to cool stillness and blank white. She turned around and gasped. She was back at the wedding ceremony. Adrian and Marinette were at the altar, she herself in the background, the maid of honor. Rather than a moving memory, this one seemed more like a picture. One image that wasn't moving. It was faded like an old photograph. Present Chloe was at the end of the aisle. She was like a visitor in a statue museum. No one moved except for her. No one blinked or breathed. She walked up the altar steps, heels clacking. The sound was hollow and echoed like they were in a stone room. She stopped before the bride and groom. They looked so happy. And this was why she let him go. This pure joy. At least Marinette is his wife, she thought. At least Chloe kept him in her life. She touched Adrian's face, and he dissolved into smoke. She stepped back as the rest of the memory dissolved, swirling around her. Faster and faster until she was at the center of a swirling tornado. To the groom! She she heard, hearing it echo back. To the bride! From your best friend, smoke and spinning, who was always by your side. To your union! She was back in her body, making her toast. And the hope that you provide. Miranda smiled from her seat next to her new husband. May you always be satisfied. Adrian and Marinette raised their glasses. Chloe wiped her tears. And she knew. Marinette would be happy as his bride. As the couple kissed, all Chloe felt was joy for her best friend. Joy and sadness, love and tears, all mixed together. As she gave them a hug at the end of the reception, there was no going back. They were together, and Adrian wasn't hers. The door shut on the limousine, and the newlyweds drove off to their honeymoon. Chloe stood a few steps in front of the general crowd, one arm extended in farewell. The cheers of family and friends quieted the background noise. She wanted this. Wanted love, a husband, a partner. She knew she would find someone, but it wouldn't be the same. Not the same as her first love. Sorrow overwhelmed her, and a single tear slipped down her face. A single thought flashed through her mind. I will never be satisfied. So I hope you enjoyed the episode.